Values are our guiding principles. They are our ethical and moral guidelines that help us to make decisions. Values is the third spoke of the helm and the next step on the journey towards refining purpose. We derive our values from our culture at large, the family we grew up in, the events and the people that shaped our lives. They are the basis for building the trust in relationships. In this way, our values make up who we are. We'll revisit the personal journey you mapped out in the last session with Aaron and start to explore our values more deeply by reflecting on the events and people that influenced you. And we'll explore how our values manifest in relationships in your personal and professional life. Gandhi captures how our values emerge from our experiences and how they influence the course of our lives. Your beliefs become your thoughts become your words become your actions, and your actions become your habits become your values, and your values become your destiny. Since these values vary by individual, they are personal, and they can be informed by many things, such as religion, morals, and ethics. Personal values provide an internal reference for what is good, beneficial, important, useful, beautiful, desirable, constructive, and so on. The most common place for building values is a person's family. I do not think anyone really has what is called a traditional upbringing. We are all so unique, and having worked as a recreational therapist and human resource professional for over 30 years now, I've had the opportunity to hear many amazing, diverse experiences that have led individuals to the place they are currently at in life. The sociologist Massie has identified 3 main periods in life when personal values are formed. Let me share a bit of my own journey through these periods as a way of providing one example, and I encourage you to do the same as part of a life timeline activity that is part of the Grab the Helm experience. The first is the imprint period, which is birth to about 7 years old. Children are like sponges and absorb everything around them, accepting that it's true, especially when it comes to primary adults. Confusion and blind belief in this period can lead to internal conflict, when what is said is different than what is observed. In this period, it is critical to learn a sense of right and wrong, good and bad. I grew up as part of a very large faith-based family in the Midwest. Family was the value that was taught right away. Everything was done for the benefit of the family, no matter what. Being the 7th of 8 children, I found it to be such a privilege that my parents brought home a little brother one day because I could finally help to take care of a sibling the way my other 6 brothers and sisters did with me. Hard work, gratitude, and a strong faith were also values that I was taught early on. But by the time I was 8 years old, because we lived out in the country, I was also taught and allowed to experience the expansiveness of nature and trusting others in my community. It wasn't anything for me at all to walk down the country roads and go visit a new home that had sprung up and introduce myself as their neighbor at such a young age. That came in very handy a bit later because another value I was quickly taught was the ability to be creative in commerce. See, my dad owned a family business that he and some of his brothers helped run, and I was able to see firsthand what it meant to create your own way in life. And the permission was there to do that, which ties to the second period, the modeling period, from ages 8 to 13. We copy people, often our parents, but also other people. Rather than the blind acceptance that characterizes the imprint period, in the modeling period, we are trying on values like we would a suit of clothes, to see how they fit and feel. We may be impressed with religion or our teachers. You may remember a specific teacher or another adult who seemed so impressive, maybe even more than your parents. For me, at the age of 10 years old, I started to sell flower and vegetable seeds door to door in the spring and holiday and greeting cards in the fall to all those wonderful families I had introduced myself to. Having grown up in the 70s with a very depressed economy, I learned the need to help any way I could to afford what it is that I needed, like a backpack to carry my books and schoolwork home. I modeled this behavior from my older brother Tom, who would sell candy and soda on the bus and at school before vending machines were even available. Because we were a bit isolated and only had 3 to 4 channels on the TV, there wasn't much other influence in our lives. But there was school. I loved school, loved to learn, and was so appreciative of my teachers and fellow students. I was athletic and I loved to play sports too. So school really brought things together for me. My fellow students and teachers shared many of the same beliefs and even attended the same church as us. So there really wasn't much to cause conflict for me. The third period is the socialization period, ages 13 to 21. In this period, we are very influenced by our peers. We develop as individuals and look for ways to shed earlier programming by turning to people who seem more like us. Other influences in this period include the media, especially those elements that seem to resonate with the values of our peer groups. It was around the junior high years that things started to shift for me, right at the beginning of the third phase. My friends were getting exposed to other things out in the world, and that started to run counter to what we had as shared beliefs up to that point. This generated a lot of conflict within, and I allowed myself to experiment a little, but found that I didn't have much peace because of it. A few values that continued to run strong for me were those of faith, family, vocation, and fitness. By my mid-teens, I was working summers at my dad's printing company and working at restaurants and other production places in between school and sports. Now, take out your personal journey. What do you recall learning about right and wrong, good and bad, from your parents during your early years in the Imprint period? Which of those values are still with you today? Who did you copy during the modeling period? Can you remember your teachers or other adults who influenced you? What values did you try on? Which stuck? Which did you let go of? In the socialization period, what friends or other peers influenced you the most? Do you recall influences from music, movies, television, or other media? Take some time to ponder this before working with your learning partner.